Manchester United squad depth 2023-24, players per position and injuries, Jadon Sancho problem undermining Erik ten Hag. Manchester United added to their squad this summer with the signings of Andre Onana, Mason Mount and more recently Rasmus Hojlund. Despite spending over £150 million/$189 million on those new arrivals, Erik ten Hag was still searching to expand the squad's depth as late as transfer deadline day. Injuries to key members of the starting 11 forced ten Hag to dive back into the market. They secured a late deal for goalkeeper Altay Bayındır, plus fullback Sergio Reguilon and midfielder Sofian Amrabat, who both arrived on loan. Johnny Evans also returned to the club on a year-long contract. However, heading into the first international break of the season, United's squad is already looking threadbare. Mount picked up an injury in United's disappointing 2-0 defeat at Tottenham and has been ruled out until late September. Luke Shaw is also suffering from a muscular injury and could be out for a few months. His backup, Tyrell Malaysia, is yet to recover from an injury he sustained last season, leading to the scramble to sign Reguilon. Raphael Varane is also sidelined once more and, in his absence, United had to substitute starting centre-backs Victor Lindelof and Lisandro Martinez due to injury concerns in the match against Arsenal on September 3rd. That meant they were forced to try to hold on to a result with Harry Maguire and Evans at the heart of defence and right-back Diogo Dalot and left-back. They lost 3-1 due to injury time goals. The one positive was Rasmus Hojlund making his debut off the bench after he was signed with a back injury. Then came the post-match fallout surrounding Jadon Sancho, who publicly disputed claims from ten Hag that he was dropped from the squad for poor form in training. It all means United could return from the international break with a severely hamstrung first team. The Sporting News takes a look at their squad depth situation and when these injured players might return. Manchester United squad depth. Why did Erik ten Hag want more signings? Taking into account Mount's injury and the goalkeeper position, ten Hag's starting 11 currently consists of the same players as last season. The midfield has been a talking point in the opening few weeks of the new Premier League campaign, and the focus has been on the aging Casemiro and Christian Eriksen. Both are 31 years old, and at times their age has shown. The signing of Amrabat was sanctioned in an effort to make the midfield more defensively robust. After struggling for goals last season, Hojlund has joined the club to make the striker position his, but he too has been injured and has only played around half an hour all season. Marcus Rashford started as the frontman against both Wolves and Tottenham but was largely ineffective. He returned to his favoured left-wing position against Nottingham Forest and appeared much more comfortable, but that meant Anthony Martial was the starting striker. Martial certainly has some qualities, but he rarely gets to show them as his injury record is appalling. United played the most games of any English side last season, and that looks to have taken its toll on the players. To combat that, ten Hag needed to bring in reinforcements. The goalkeeping position has seen its first major development in over a decade as ten Hag replaced legend David De Gea with Onana. Dean Henderson signed for Crystal Palace on a permanent transfer, with Altay Bayındır signed as his replacement. Veteran Tom Heaton is the other senior goalkeeper at the club. When fully fit, the depth at full-back is relatively strong. But with the injuries to Shaw and Malaysia, that left the 20-year-old Fernandes as the only option. The Spaniard enjoyed a successful loan period at Preston North End last season. But ten Hag opted to use Dalot as the left-back against Nottingham Forest, which would indicate Fernandes is not quite ready to start in the Premier League. That would explain United's interest in a late-window loan deal for a new left-sided option and why Sergio Reguilon was ultimately signed. Fernandes was then allowed to join Granada for the season to get some more experience. The starting centre-back positions have been locked down by Lisandro Martinez and Varane. Both were excellent last season, but the two also had their own injury problems. Martinez broke his metatarsal against Sevilla in the Europa League, and Varane struggles when required to play multiple games per week. and he could be looking at another spell out of action already this season. Martinez was also forced off against Arsenal. Victor Lindelof has jumped former captain Harry Maguire in the pecking order, and the Sweden international is the starter in the event Martinez or Veronet picks up an injury. But he too was hurt against the Gunners. That means United ended the game against Arsenal and could start against Brighton Hove Albion on September 16th, with Maguire and 35-year-old Johnny Evans at centre-back. Eric Bailly is still at the club, having played 4 league games since the end of 2020-21. Even though United brought in Mount, they were still light in midfield as their formation requires 3 central midfielders in the starting 11. The loan signing of Sofian Amrabat from Fiorentina was therefore welcomed by supporters. The club allowed Fred to leave this summer for a rather cheap £8.6 million, $10.9 million. Kobbie Mainoo was unfortunate to get injured on the pre-season tour and would have provided good depth for Mount, but he won't be available until maybe October. Scott McTominay was also linked with a move away from Old Trafford this summer, but no move was forthcoming. Donny van de Beek's United career has never really started. There was deadline day interest in a loan deal, which came to nothing. This is arguably the strongest area for Ten Hag. He has the luxury of selecting 2 players from a crop of 4. Marcus Rashford owns the left flank, and Antony appears to have the right. When Rashford is forced to play down the middle, Alejandro Garnacho tends to come in on the left, but Jadon Sancho can also play that role. However, his future is now unclear following his public denial of Ten Hag's claims relating to his training form. Amad Diallo and Facundo Pellistri have been looking to break into that group for the past season. Pellistri has made some sub-appearances and starts in the Europa League, but the talent ahead of him makes it a tough challenge for starts in the top flight, although he has impressed during his fleeting appearances. Diallo, like Fernandes, enjoyed a loan spell in the Championship and was tipped to provide excellent depth. That was until he also got injured on the pre-season tour in the United States. Regardless of the £64 million, $80 million spent on Hojlund, United could do with another striker at the club. He only had 9 goals in 32 Serie A games, but it is worth mentioning he only started 20 of those. So it's a little unfair to judge him too harshly. Martial had 5 different kinds of injuries last season and missed an extraordinary 27 matches. There's little doubt United's better performances come when he leads the line. But he cannot be relied upon to stay fit. Thanks for your watching. Don't forget to click the subscribed button and hit the bell icon for more.